So back to what I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to Life on Podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends
everywhere.
Hey, and why do we do that? Because life happens to everyone. Today, we're going to talk about how rap is both the problem, but catch this, though, and the cure. At least I believe, for black and black violence.
I'm going to be listening to this episode with y'all.
Oh, you going to chime in, fool. You going to chime in, all right? It's already popular how we already think, rap is the problem. But I think there's some areas where rap can be part of the cure. The same way rap isn't the problem for violence. It definitely plays a role in it. Right. But I think it can play a role in the cure. If this sounds interesting to you, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tell a friend and share. And we're going to jump right into it. Okay. So obviously the biggest and latest thing in this whole thing is I want to say the passing, but I think that's kind of underestimating, but
it's downplaying
what happened.
Yeah.
But our loss of Takeoff. Yeah. And what makes that even so much tragic is that he was just, a bystander, even worse. But then we had a whole string of like empire artists that were dying off, and it's become to the point where hearing violent deaths dealing with rappers or rap associated situations is not even shocking anymore.
Becoming? I mean, has it ever really been? I mean, every era is happening.
You still like dang, 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 but you weren't used like dang, figures. Like it's become dang, figures now.
Okay.
I believe. Okay. More so. And when I say now, maybe it's been the last 10 years, if you will. It's not like it was like yesterday.
Well, social media.
Yeah. But why is that? I mean, we want to dig into some of the points. Obviously, these are our opinions. These are our views. We try to do our best to have opinions and views that are backed up with facts and data. But at the end of the day, it still has our perspective spin on it. So why do you think it's such an issue? I mean, there's obviously violence in all kinds of genres and areas. We get all of that. But I think you're kidding yourself if you think it isn't what's the word? I don't know why my grammar is on pause today, but it's heightened to be easy with it where rap is concerned. Why do you think that is? Or what would you attribute it to if you want to attribute it to anything?
I think because the individuals who are the faces of the rap industry have been, are, and will continue to be close to a lifestyle that shouldn't be associated with high status. Got you.
Shouldn't be celebrated.
But that goes with it, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be real careful with how I say this because, I mean, I obviously we all know rappers.
Never known you to do that.
I do when I'm talking about stuff.
I know you police my stuff plenty, but I've never known you to.
I do when I'm talking about stuff that can get me shot.
Just don't name any particular names.
I mean, I never would do that. But I mean, it's.
Well, let's start with the fact that...
I'm going to start with this. Nelly made a comment in an interview some years ago. And I'm using Nelly specifically because Nelly was highly respected and everybody thought Nelly was like a bubblegum rapper. People like Nelly was from St. Louis. Like Nelly was from the same type of environment that Lil Wayne and Baby and all of them came out of. It's just he decided to do a different type of music. Ludacris is the same way. Like Ludacris is from here. He's from damn near exactly where... T.I. and I mean the whole environment, all of them. But I mean, he decided to make a different type of music. I was looking for Jeezy's name right there for some reason, and I mean he's part of one of my examples in this. When Nelly was in that interview, he said, "Man, I grew up in all of that. You know where I came from. I'm from the Lou. That's not what I'm trying to carry into the future. Like I can't." And that was, I mean, he wasn't trying to be profound. He wasn't trying to be philosophical. But what he said in that moment was so profound that I think people weren't able to grasp what he was saying. Is that when you get that opportunity, when the lifestyle you come from gives you that opportunity, you have to find a way to distance yourself from that lifestyle. Because if you bring that lifestyle into something, people always say money doesn't change you. it magnifies what you are.
Yep.
If you come into it and you bring that, money's gonna magnify that all around
If
you.
you cheating at the Motel 6, when you get money, you're gonna cheat at the Waldorf Astoria.
Boy, what? I'm thinking about some very specific people right now. Man,
I believe you've heard me say that before. I always said money's an amplifier.
It is. Yeah. I mean, that's not a reinventing the wheel thing. That's a
so
standard statement.
Listening. If I were just listening to this for the first time and I jumped in here, knowing the topic, and then we're saying money's an amplifier, then what I heard was, well, they're thugs and goons already, and then money just made them more of that. When we actually find more often than not, that's not the case.
No. So you remember when we had that conversation about, what was it, growth and increase,
right?
And how that's different.
Yeah.
Amplification has two points to it too. It doesn't necessarily make you more of a gangster, more of a thug, but it does allow you to surround yourself with more of that.
But my point was that you were a gangster, or that statement assumes that you were a gangster or a thug to begin with,
or from the environment.
Or right, see, and that's to me that's a huge difference.
It's not the same thing. Well, right. So this is the thing. I'm from the environment.
Same.
I've never considered myself to be a gangster or a thug.
Right.
I have a lot of friends who have banged very heavily, and I have lost a lot of them. And then the ones that are older now are trying to talk to these young dudes, and they can't. So I mean, I've gotten an opportunity to see that. I've also been the victim of being associated with certain organizations when I never have been, just because of who my friends are. And that started happening when certain levels of notoriety started happening. Oh, Johnny's got a radio show. Johnny's from here. These are Johnny's friends. And then it's like, yo, no, wait. We're not bringing that into this. And because I knew that if I allowed that stuff to start permeating into what my new ventures were, that was what my life was going to become. So again, I'm not saying that somebody was that. But when you from the environment, you know the lifestyle, you know the rules of it, whether you live by it or not, you know what that is. And when that financial aspect is introduced into an arena that you're in that's already full of that type of lifestyle, right, you surround yourself with it more to balance it out, whether it's for a protection thing, if it's just comfort, or if it's for image. But it's going to happen one way or another. And that's my perspective on it.
Like 99.999 things in life, I think is just the money.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Because you look at people like yourself, and then a Nelly, and even myself. From Trenton. If you know anything about Trenton, I'm not saying Trenton's as bad as a Detroit, or as bad as a Chicago, or as bad as in Atlanta. Every state has their area. You know what I mean? So when you're familiar with those areas and the things that go down, you have a choice at the end of the day. Like, Biggie, much as I love,
you don't.
Well,
be careful saying that.
Well, you know what, and this is what I'm gonna get on my Kanye thing. It's like, well, you always have a choice. It's just sometimes the choice between what sucks and what sucks more.
Don't quote Kanye.
No, honestly, as I've been digging into Kanye, he almost has a Trump syndrome where a lot of what he's saying, I get what he's saying, understand what he's saying, it makes sense.
No,
what he's saying.
get what he's trying to say.
That's what I was just going to say. But he has a horrible way of communicating it.
And that's the thing.
Horrible way.
If you haven't elevated yourself to the point to where you can convey what you're trying to say,
so
you shouldn't be put on that pedestal.
Quoting him is not the problem. You know what I mean? He just has an issue getting his point across clearly. Okay. But so when you say you don't have a choice, I need to know why you think some people don't have a choice.
I've seen it happen. I have been in a situation where someone was told, you either join this gang or I shoot you.
So that's not a choice. Again, this is the
okay. So let's all right. So let me do this. Because this is the problem with quoting Kanye.
Get off Kanye.
No. Let's take it from quite literally.
My nephew literally had that very thought.
I understand
that very question.
I understand what you're saying, but we got to stop this whole quite literally black and white crap. Nothing is quite literally black and white.
Tell me how that's not a choice.
It's a choice. Are you going to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to make the choice for you to just blow my head off right now? Dude,
Johnny,
stop it.
Is that a horrible choice? Dude, yes or no? I'm asking you a yes or no question.
So I'm going to have a human conversation with people who actually aren't going to do this black and white stuff.
Just because you don't like the black and white?
We're not doing it. No.
Answer me this. No. Because you don't like the black and white, does that not make it black and white? It's a yes or no question.
It's not black or white. When you have people that count on you, that is not an option. You do not make that choice. You do not let that be a makeable choice. So no, you do not have one.
So when my nephew sat there in that situation, and this isn't made up story, and they said, do this or get what you just said. He had to choose to either not be on this earth no more.
Okay.
No, here's it.
So let me. What
if we switched it around where it was a good thing? There was a guy that don't cut me off on this. There was a guy going by a burning building.
This is stupid.
Going by a burning building where it was known there was a child inside.
This is absolutely
He had
dumb.
a choice to either go inside and probably die.
This is dumb.
Or risk and save the child's life.
Not apples and oranges.
Well, we're on fact,
and that's also dumb.
Aggressively, as we say amicably all the time, 1,000% just disagree on this point.
We can, because this is stupid.
Because the moment, and I'm going to say this, the moment y'all feel like you've lost a choice, just because one choice sucks more than the other, so I can't begin to tell you how much stuff you are now not allowing yourself to either experience, go through, or whatever.
I'm going to say something.
And you won't change my mind on that.
I don't have to, but I'm going to say this. I put people in the stupid box when they can't accept the fact that sometimes a choice can be so far so bad that it is just not optionable, so it does not become a choice.
Go back and listen to what you just freaking said.
You can listen to it all I want to.
You just said what I said, that the choice sucked. It didn't stop it from being a choice.
That is not what I said. I said it gets removed from being an option, so it is not a choice.
So the moment that is not an option,
it's not a choice.
What I heard, because I can't quote you because I forgot, and that's being counted against me, is that the circumstance dictated whether or not you have a choice.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so who made the I don't want to use the word choice. Who dictated the fact that the circumstance took away your option? Who made that? Who made that dictation?
And see, this is the aspect of why I say things are not black and white, because that gray area moves from whatever the situation is. You don't have children. So my scenario is going to be different. If somebody comes to you and says, I'm going to kill your kid, it means nothing to you. You don't have one. Someone points a gun at me and says the same thing. I have a completely different perspective and viewpoint on the decisions that are optionable for me. It's not the same thing for you.
So let me.
So when I say that someone doesn't have a choice in a scenario, and this is another thing. And again, I never claimed to be of that lifestyle. I'm from that place. I didn't live that stuff, but I got a lot of friends I lost from that because they did not have choices. You don't have opportunities in certain situations. People rely on you. You end up doing things that if you don't do it, other people die. Death causes things to not be a choice. So you make a decision to remove that choice and do the one thing that stops that from being optionable. Now, you can allow that to keep being, just because it's a choice crap. That's not reality.
So what I'm hearing you say is the moment you say, I'm not making a choice like that.
That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying
you had to make a decision where it's not an option. You just said it's not an option. Did you not just say when it's those kind of scenarios, it's not even a choice isn't an option?
Say it again and be more specific than you're being right now.
Let's use your example. You either do this or get your brain blown out.
Not a choice.
I'm inside saying that is not a choice I'm willing to even look at as being a choice. It's not an option. Is that not what you're saying? I made the conscious conclusion.
Okay.
That here it is, as they say, I don't accept the option.
This is what I want to stop doing. And I'm going to stop doing this consciously with you because there is no win with you because you're going to
be... Not on this, no, there isn't. I'll tell you right now there isn't.
You're going to be literal to the end of it, and it's wrong. It's the wrong way to look at life, period, because it's stupid. I'm going to stop doing it with you, though.
It says to the person where I've done it, and it's worked for me.
But... you haven't lived a lifestyle the way it hasn't worked for him.
But that's cool.
I got a dead friend right now who decided to allow something to be a choice.
Why does death have to be the only option?
Like I said, when you get to a certain threshold, some people don't have a choice. You make a choice or you die.
This argument is not going to work with you because you don't subscribe to it. But for those who do believe, and if the story is true in it, because you don't subscribe to it, so it won't go anywhere with you.
Hey man, rock out.
But this is where it is.
I live in this world. That's all.
I mean, look, you can say all you want. There's still people who still think the world is flat, so there's nothing you can do about it. So my whole point is
that's stupid too.
I mean, it's fine, but just like you would tell me in the first place, it's stupid to you.
No,
you're always quick to tell me how I put laws and blanket stuff on other people, but then when you're the one that does it, all of a sudden it's acceptable
because I can back it up with facts. I can tell you the worst.
What's factual?
I can take you to the beach.
I mean, not the earth. Not that you're arguing. It's an echo box. I get it.
I can show you everything that's factual. I can show you facts.
But the whole thing. All right. So here's the thing. At this point, we'll move on. I don't say anything
that I can't back up with facts. I've said that many times.
This part is entertaining you guys, but at this point, I don't know if it's going to be like, okay, can y'all just move on to?
No, we ain't going nowhere. Stone is being stupid, and we gotta stop this.
He's being stupid for thinking I'm being stupid. So we can go around this table all day long.
Some people don't have options.
So because at the end of the day, there are some people listening to you that 1,000% 100% agree with you. And there are some people who listen to me that 1000% agree with me. And guess what? That's just the way of the freaking world.
Yes,
That's
it
just the way
is.
it is. So my point in saying all that was, I was going back to the money. So I think a lot of it is the money. And what I was going to say, what bothers me is when Biggie, as much as I love Biggie, well, as an artist, because I didn't know him personally, right? Big fan of Biggie. But in the rap where he was like, you know, when my neighbors called the cops on me because I was just trying to feed my daughter. Very first thing I thought of was like, there's 1,000 ways you could have fed your daughter. I was like, you wanted to pick the quickest one and the easiest one. So my whole thing was, and that's where we left. Because for you, according to you, Biggie didn't have a choice. Is
Everybody didn't go to boarding school, bro.
Why do you got to go to boarding school? My sister didn't go to boarding school.
All I'm
my
pointing
niece didn't go to boarding. My niece is coming. Wow, this sounds bad because it sounds like my whole freaking family is. My niece left that whole thing, and before I left Jersey, she was crying and stuff, and she said, she said, well, again, not putting business. At the end of the day, she was like, she apologized to me for making bad decisions.
Okay.
And I said, you don't have to apologize to me. I was like, I love you regardless of the decision you made, whether I agree with them or not. You don't have to apologize to me. But she was just like, I felt like when I had Kyle, this is what I needed to do to feed my kid. And that's where the Biggie thing came in. And I told her that. I said, you sound like Biggie. And we started laughing. But she was just like, I didn't have to do what I did. And she said herself, because she's getting her CDL now, but she said herself, I could have worked at Wawa if I wanted to, but quite frankly, that money takes too long to come, and I need to buy. So she gave me all the reasons as to why she didn't do what she did, but never once was she's like,
you can hindsight. You can hindsight as 2020 all you want to. All you can do.
But I said what I'm saying in the conversation. It wasn't hindsight.
But I'm telling you what she's doing. She's hindsight and saying, yeah, I could have. In that moment, she didn't have that foresight to know what she could have done.
All she knew, foresight is cool.
All she knew was what she knew at that time.
That's not true either, because when she started messing with these people, my sister told me. Matter of fact, my sister even got her a job with the state. She got it to her. She went one day, didn't show up again.
All right, if you dick it off, that's on you. I'll give you that. If you screw it up, if somebody puts you in a position, that's one thing. But I know people. I have experienced people. I have been one of the people that an opportunity was not given. There is no choice but to do what you have to do in that moment because you don't have any other options. That actually exists. What I want to point out here in this particular scenario, because I see it a lot, you hear the phrase right now, get it out the mud a lot. Stone, I'm putting you in the box. You did not get it out the mud. I hate to say, I love you, brother. Out the mud. I do. Any of your life did not come out the mud. You had a bit of a head start from my vantage point because I came out of nada. Like a dad who was paying child support on 3 other kids, complete poverty, nothing is where we came from.
You're like I came from the womb to boarding school.
What I'm pointing out is some people have a bit more of a head start than others do.
Just be careful with that because you don't. I know
I don't know the whole
crazy
thing.
You don't know my story, which you should.
I do know your story. I'm about to touch on someone who saw something in you and said, I'm going to do this because he's got potential.
Who, my mom?
Whoever it was.
It was my mom.
Your mom, the lady.
It was my mom.
Who was the lady that sent you to boarding school? It
was the lady who worked with my mom.
Who worked with you. So everybody doesn't have that.
Okay.
That thing there, that intangible. So the thing, remember we were talking about
my sister didn't have that.
Hang on. Just listen. When we were talking about the whole political thing and I was saying white folks don't understand the black diaspora. They have no idea about it. So they make decisions trying to target it based off of what they see. You make judgment calls from the vantage point of up here, never really experiencing the down here.
Okay, well,
and it pisses me off when you do that.
It pisses me off that you make that assumption.
Well, that's cool, but I'm pointing out the fact that it's a real thing.
This is an assumption because I don't.
I watch you do it. And I ignore it. You actually do it to me, but I ignore it because I don't care.
I don't make all my decisions off of some high level, lofty.
You will tell somebody you have other options based off of what you see as being an option, and other people don't have those options.
All right, so let's not make it so grandiose and go back to the very specific thing that I said.
You said it's all about money.
So you mean to tell me, and we can only speak from our opinion because neither one of us know Biggie. Right?
I don't know Biggie.
But there's a lot of people who were Biggie.
I know a lot of people like Biggie. I don't know
exactly. Biggie. So you mean to tell me that there was nothing they can do? I'm not even saying you got the job. I'm not even saying it worked out. I'm not even going to go that far. You mean to tell me that it wasn't even an option for you to even go to the store to fill out an application? I mean, just let's stop there.
Yeah. So
even if it doesn't work out, right? You mean that wasn't even a choice you had?
So what I'm going to do is point out the fact that in the statement you're making, you're assuming that he didn't do that.
No, I just said I don't know him.
That's what I'm saying. The statement you're making is assuming he didn't do that.
Right.
What I'm going to do, which, again, I don't know him, but I know someone who's just like him, who went through something very, very similar, who did. Applied to get a trucking license, couldn't get it for some reason or another. Tried to go work at 2 different warehouses, could not get those jobs. Did not get hired at something, and their child was about to get taken into the state. He had literally no other options because he needed bread right then
he reached
to
that
do something.
point of desperation for sure.
So
Absolutely.
he sold coke.
Absolutely.
Because he could not get a job.
No, I get it.
Those realities exist.
I know they do.
That is a non-option.
I know they do.
All I'm saying is you make statements that sound like it doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. So here's my whole thing. We don't have to go. You can go to episode, what was it, 2, when we told our story, right? When I was homeless down in Southwest Atlanta, right? Remember, I was sleeping on MARTA benches. Granted, we're taking away the part. We're taking away the part where I had a choice to go home. We're taking that because I made the choice not to, right?
See, and that's the thing. You could have went home.
No, I could have, but I chose not to. But just because you make one choice doesn't mean you're not presented with other choices.
Okay.
So I had the point where literally nowhere to eat, got kicked out of the house. Remember, unexpectedly, didn't know. Applied to Long John Silver's. Idiocy, like I 1 year of college, you're overqualified. To this day, I have to release that because to this day it still pisses me off. But Long John Silver, Captain D's, McDonald's, too qualified. Never understood that. And remember when I said when I went and got a Little Debbie snack cake, I said I just thought about shoplifting some stuff. And I didn't. It wasn't because like, well, you know what? If I don't shop this, I can always go home.
But see, I'm laughing because I don't even. From my vantage point right now, and I hate to cut into your story, from my vantage point, I'm watching you not hear what this sounds like.
No, I'm telling you what you think it sounds like. It sounds like me saying, ooh, I had it so hard.
No.
I did another thing, and I had these other options I could have pursued.
That's not what it sounds like.
Okay, because I didn't have a kid that wasn't about to eat.
That's not what it sounds like. That's not what it sounds like. What it sounds like is you're putting your story up against someone who truly had no options, but you're qualifying yours by saying, you literally said this. Take away the fact that I had the option to go home.
I'm not trying to compare apples to apples.
I'm telling you.
Okay, so if it sounds like I'm trying to compare apples to apples, so let's be clear.
This is what I'm saying.
Stop. Let's be clear. I'm gonna shut it down. I'm not comparing apples to apples. What I said was I'm comparing situations to make a choice, which is all this whole thing has ever been. I'm not saying my situation is as bad as yours is bad. I'm not saying that. We are all put in a situation to make some kind of a choice. And Johnny was like, no, there's sometimes you're in a situation when you don't have a choice.
And I'm not going to say no more.
And all I'm saying, where you're saying that the choice isn't there, all I'm saying is you have a choice between effed up level 1 and you have effed up level 1,010th to the 10th to the 24th. And John's like, well, if you have a choice like that, that's not a choice.
Right.
That's what we're saying, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So let's just go our separate ways on that because that's where we disagree. Now,
I had to get back to the notes.
Right, yeah. Now, so going back to the bag. I feel like one reason why rappers do this is because that's what's selling.
Okay.
Right? That's what people are buying. And whatever reason why people are buying that, who knows? I'm not even going to get into that. I mean, it does bring up the chicken or egg thing type thing. It's like, okay, are they buying it because you're giving it to them or are you giving it to them because they're buying it, right? We can't really get into that because I don't know how. But that's one of the biggest reasons. As long as it's selling, the label's going to cut the check. We kind of tapped on this a little bit with the Lior thing, right?
Well, I mean, that's what anything.
Yeah, so as long as they're selling it, the label's going to cut the check.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're going to go where they're cutting the check.
Yes.
And which brings up what Method Man said on the Late Show. He was like, dude, half these folks out here are fakers. Like half of them aren't even what they rap about. Okay?
He called them liars specifically.
Or liars, right? And but that leads to why I said can rap play part of the cure as well? Because now you got those who aren't even really about that life, promoting and celebrating that life. And to me, that's part of the problem. Now, the reason why I brought the cure, I think the part of the cure is probably a little harder because one of the questions I asked is, and I don't know if you know of, have you ever had a rapper that went in thugged, then for whatever reason, saw the light, I don't care what the reason is, but there was some kind of thing that made them be like, yo, I need to be more, for lack of a better word, positive, conscious, put your own adjective on it.
Yeah, Ice Cube.
And then it worked out for them.
Ice Cube. That's probably the only one. Jeezy tried to do it, but nobody bought those 2 albums. And then as soon as he dropped another TM 103 a month ago, everybody's like, yo, Jeezy's back. So, I mean, this is why when I saw you write that as the topic, that rap is a part, it can't be. Now, granted, the way you make a vaccination is you do take the virus and you take parts of it to break it down. And then in some of them, they actually inject parts of it into you so that your body can have a response. So if we're using that basic scientific principle of how you vaccinate something to make something better, I don't think you can apply that to this. Rap cannot save itself. I think I personally feel it's devolved to a point to where it can't be restored unless you start letting rappers like Lecrae be #1 on Billboard. And cool, but that's not gonna happen because the machine's not gonna make money off of that. So no, I don't feel like that is what it is.
Yeah,
but those would be the only two options I could give you as examples of people that came in that way and made the shift. But I mean, it's just not viable from a funding perspective.
Now, the only reason why I may partially counter that is if we can make the choice, and we talked about this before in another episode, if we can make a choice to vote for Herschel Walker or to vote for Trump, and we realize a lot of that stuff comes really almost had nothing to do with the candidates. Some of it has something to do with the candidates, but a lot of it was everything around them, the marketing and the ad and all this kind of stuff. I feel like it only takes a few people, if you will, of enough influence, power, whatever you call it, or a few organizations, whatever, to use those same tactics, to put on the optics of not promoting violence is the good thing and not promoting violence is the da-da-da-da-da, so that it becomes appealing, right?
I hear you.
Yeah, right. I mean, even I'm sitting there saying I'm floating a little bit in the euphoria. Yeah, for sure. Okay. But again, it's one of those things like, so here's the thing, and this is going to go back to the thing, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit trail. We already know we agree to disagree. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
because
I agree with everything you said, brother.
Just because the euphoric thing is highly unlikely to work, does it mean that it's not an option? I didn't say viable option. I didn't say viable. I didn't say viable. Doesn't mean it isn't something that can happen. Hey, you know what? Honestly,
I mean, the reason why I'm laughing is because I know you know my answer to that, but I'm not going to say
because I know what I believe. I believe if someone like a Dr. King believed that because they were in a time and an environment where there was absolutely nothing to tell them that being nonviolent will work.
Right.
There was nothing pointing to that.
Yeah,
I would personally, and he was called by our own people crazy.
I mean, Malcolm tried to tell him, but I mean,
Malcolm tried to tell me, and to say that it didn't have an impact, and for all intents and purposes worked to a level of thing, I don't understand how that fits the argument because it was euphoric. It was a euphoric idea.
Where has it gotten us?
It didn't play a role in the civil rights coming around.
I didn't say it didn't play a role,
but that's all I'm talking about. And it says it in here, play a role. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about any shot being the cure. Okay. I'm talking playing an impactful role. Okay,
so all right, let me separate that then, because I'm basing it straight off of the title of rap music being its own cure to its thing, or however that has it.
It says is rap both the problem and the cure.
Exactly.
So in writing, that's what I wrote.
Right.
But if you rewind it, I clarified and said play a part. I think I said it 2 or 3 times, to be honest with you. So it can't just be a thing where you just didn't hear me say it once.
Well, no, I'm not saying I didn't hear you say it, but again, I have the title, so I'm like, all right, this is Stone's position. Even on that. Well, no, it's not so much. Yes, for the most part, because even before we hit record, I said I think I said it when we started. Like, I'm gonna be listening to this with y'all because I was not on board with that. So even when you said that, to me, playing a role, because you do that sometimes where you'll use words interchangeably and then you have to clarify. So I'm just like, okay, Stone's using that as.
Well, if I knew you were going, this is a working title. So these are ideas. So this is like, okay, this is the gist of what we'll be talking about, which is why when I got on The Real Deal and people are listening to me, I didn't just say the title.
Okay.
This is why I said play a role in. And have an impact on. I think those are the exact words I said.
Then that changes my conversation slightly, but not. No. I said, listen to what I'm about to say.
I'm saying it explains a lot.
It's not gonna make you feel good. It changes my conversation about it slightly, but only to the degree of me saying and this is me because of how methodical I am when I make choices and how I apply my energy and efforts to stuff.
Right.
If I analyze a scenario and I see, I've got a 7% chance of this being successful, and whatever I use to come up with that metric, that becomes a non-option in my book. I'm not attempting something with a 7% chance if there's something that has a 20% chance.
I don't know anyone will argue with you on that.
And so, again, I've always been more Malcolm than Martin. All respect to Martin because of, and I'm just saying this because of the example that you use. But Martin's methods haven't gotten us anywhere.
I mean, neither one of the methods.
Well, Malcolm's methods were, and then they snuffed it. I mean, it's why why you got the Black Panthers added to the FBI's most wanted list.
You got to explain how Martin's methods didn't get us anywhere.
Okay, we'll go back to what we're talking about during the political
and
episode.
Educate me here.
And no, it's simple. Emotional doesn't work effectively long enough.
Okay.
And you say it all the time. When you say you have to be disciplined because the feeling of wanting it is going to go away.
Sure.
So you have to be disciplined. You have to be active. And Malcolm was active. And Martin felt good. Not saying that it wasn't active with him being out, being front facing, putting himself in them situations, but his words were very emotionally charged.
Which didn't then translate into action.
Did it translate into the most effective action? So that's the thing. So again, this is the thing. I've got a different bar for what that is.
So when the levels of civil rights, obviously civil rights is still a fight that's being fought. But the level, whatever steps and strides we were able to make, again, because I'm saying played a role was impactful. You feel Martin and what he led in SCLC, whatever. That wasn't impactful, played a role in any small way.
I feel that without the Huey P. Newtons and the Malcolm X's those type of movements moving side by side with that happening, and a sense of
that's fine with me,
and a sense of fear that this could happen too, tied to some of that, helped that. Okay. Without this, I think Martin's falls flat, and I've always
the other way around is not true. Without Martin, Malcolm's would have gone through.
I think more violence would have gotten more done.
More violence would have gotten. You're right. It would have gotten more violence.
It would have sent
the violence would have begat more violence.
It would have begat more violence, but it would have sent a bigger statement. I think it would have set a bigger statement.
But you think it would have gotten something done?
Absolutely. How do you think the United States of America came into existence? They didn't come with impassionate speeches only. It came with a lot of violence.
A lot of violence.
It was maintained with a lot of violence.
I agree.
Motions and forward movement happens through violence.
Now, this is where I spank my own people. The only reason why that worked is because all the people who were supposed to be on the same side were on the same side.
No, absolutely.
Which in our community we have yet to.
That's a whole different conversation.
It absolutely is.
And I would love to have that conversation. When we were talking about the forms of civil engagement that I get involved with, because I'm not going to waste my time on something I know doesn't have a high percentage chance of actually
right. And like I said, I won't argue with any of that, but it still hasn't really answered my thing on how that.
Well, that's the answer to it. But okay, so ask it again, and I'll try my best to give you you said I haven't answered what you want.
Just the whole thing of the whole choice thing. Like that was a smart and a logical one.
Well,
because the lower percentage was low and was more than likely going to fail.
Then it becomes a non-option.
Right. And so that's not the part where you and I agree is where things don't become an option. That's where you and I agree. And then after that role is
where we disagree is you like to use the term choice in the literal sense of what it is,
as opposed to what?
As opposed to everything
idealistic.
Well, your whole religion is idealistic, so you want to do that. Use it across the board.
Careful on that, because I'm learning and growing on a lot of things, as we all are. Right.
I'm not saying we aren't. However, the religion that you're based out of primarily, from the viewpoints of just about everybody who has a scientific viewpoint, is idealistic.
But that's never moved me.
That's fine.
Right? What the masters say.
But what I'm saying is, don't choose when to prove to use your idealistic.
Do you know why I respect it to a point? All right, I keep using them, but there were so many life lessons in this. Do you know why I even did the Trump thing, and why? I mean, I know you know why.
Yeah.
So it's rhetorical, right?
Okay.
It's because as real as his idiocy was to me, and to millions of others. So it's not like I'm just some lone wolf out here, right? His lack of idiocy, or the fact that his idiocy didn't count, or the fact that his idiocy wasn't even prevalent enough to even be part of the equation, there were millions of people that believed that. And the thing is, I never discounted that. I always wondered why. I always wondered why. But then once I'm wondering why, it's going to have to be based off, well, what are my morals? What are my values?
And that's where you mess up at.
Well, it's not that I messed up. I recognized it, which is why I didn't shoot him down, which is why I did the experiment in the first place.
Well, no, I'm not saying that's where you messed up at in that scenario. I'm saying that applying that tactic is where you mess up at in general.
You like to say how you mess up, but it's the two sides of the same coin. Because the same way you're telling me and every other person who will believe in either in Christ or in Buddha or Mormon, whatever, how your ideals are all messed up and blah, 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 blah.
That's not what I said.
Whatever you say, how you live idealistically is what you said.
I said applying your idealistic principles to every scenario and then choosing it.
Before that, when you said the thing you subscribe to the moment you talk about religion,
you flat out but that was a different conversation. Because I don't think
you say it with the tone of.
Okay, so this is the tone of.
That means what Johnny subscribes to is not.
I never say that. Mine absolutely is.
That's why we use the word tone, because you didn't say it. But it's what
I do it that way because I know the individual I'm talking to does not accept that their situation is an idealistic situation. I said this specifically, again, in a political episode, that when you leave one situation of being a sheep, all you do is join another situation where you're a sheep of something else. Right. The problem is that the majority of people, Stone, I'm going to put you in this box because you've proven it to me that you won't accept that situation is a sheep to one situation.
So those who believe something, right, are sheep to that thing.
Yes.
Those who don't believe something, are they not a sheep to that
They're
thing?
a sheep to something else.
That's all I'm saying.
That's not what you be saying, though.
No,
because
that's what I'm trying to say right now. So what makes it now? So my question is, who decides which sheep is better than the other sheep?
No, you choose which sheep you want to be. That's what I'm saying. But
literally all I'm saying.
No, it's not.
If I wasn't clear before,
no, it's not.
Fine. If I wasn't clear before, because you just helped me clarify.
Well, I'm happy I can help you do that.
What I've been trying to say.
I'm glad we got it out of you.
But
what I want you to see is that what it sounds like when it comes out of your mouth is you use very black and white, yes or no, right and wrong. This is that.
I try to break things down to this most simplistic form. You know I do.
You cannot do that in complex situations.
In some complex things you can't.
Not this one, nigga.
Some complex things you can. No, there it is. But again, that's you. And the reason why I can say that's you is because right now there are people commenting who 1,000% get what I'm saying, and there are people who want, and therefore you'd be like, that's cool. Yes. But then there are 1,000 people who agree with what you're saying, and those who agree be like,
and that's cool.
That's cool. And all I'm trying to say is that's what it is. You are literally subscribing to me, telling me that things aren't black and white, blah, blah. Well, obviously, I'm not the nigga, as you said, the only one on this earth.
What? Me? No.
But my thing is, obviously, I'm not the only one on this earth who believes that.
No, and I'm not saying it. But what I'm pointing out is, and especially, and we're going to get to this, because, I mean, this has just been fun. But in conversations, when you ask, and I'm taking this back to the choice thing.
Okay.
I built up that backstory of showing that from different people's perceptions and their viewpoints and their vantage points of looking at the world and their starting points of the world, they don't have a viewpoint of this down here.
I get it.
So when you make statements like that, it's ignoring everybody who's down here saying, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
So
I've been lucky.
In saying that, let me use your example.
Okay.
When I was trying to relate, as you like to say, I was trying to relate. You said, like say the job thing, right? You said you were given that option. A person who wasn't giving that option, it's not a choice for them because it was never presented to them, is what you said. So my question to you is, just because either you weren't exposed to it, just because you are ignorant that it exists, just because it was never brought to you as an option, does that mean the option didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've said this in conversations before because, and this is the part where, and you remember we butted heads on this whole thing. One individual's reality is their reality. We had that conversation. I agree with all of that. If I hold up the toilet paper roll this way, it looks like a circle that way on the shadow, looks like a square if you shine a light on it that way. The vantage point that you see something is the reality you experience.
That I agree with.
If I don't know what Lee Heisman knows, that is not an option to me because I have no tangibility to that information being there.
Okay. Listen to the words carefully.
So I can't
listen to the words carefully.
Okay.
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay.
The key word is you said that is, What? Because you keep saying you know what I'm going to say.
No, because this goes back to you saying, but does it mean it doesn't exist?
That's all I'm asking.
That's all you're asking. And no, it does not, because to that individual, you cannot simplify a complex equation.
Now I'm going to make you mad because I'm going to simplify something.
Do it.
When you come down Howell Mill, you can turn either down Berkeley. Matter of fact, my address is 710 Berkeley Avenue. So you drive down Howell Mill, you see Berkeley. So you're going to come down Berkeley because that's the address you got. If you go one street further to Forest, you can come down Forest, and actually Forest and Berkeley meet, and you end at the same spot. If you come down and you had no idea that Forest existed, and so therefore, because you don't know,
Schrodinger's Road,
because it doesn't, it's not an option for you because you don't know it's there.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. What I'm asking you is, because you don't know it's there, does that mean Forest doesn't exist?
Stone. We have
Y'all see what I'm trying to say?
No, I know what you're trying to say.
Right.
But what I'm trying to get you to do is what you keep saying you're doing. My thoughts and my stuff is elevating and it's growing, which it has. So I'm trying to push it to grow a little bit further so you can see outside the box you're trying to paint. Remove that box that you're trying to put it in of, yes, it's there, yes, it's not. If you close your eyes and you don't see something, is it still there? It's the whole thing of, does a tree make a noise if no one's there to hear it? Does it? If there's no one there to perceive it happening, does it exist?
Yeah, this is where you and I disagree.
And that's fine.
Because
we can
you know why?
disagree.
You know why? Because that means you pretty much have to be omniscient in order for things to exist according to you.
No, think
about what I just said.
I know what you're saying. Everything is going to exist based off of your vantage point and your understanding of what you have.
Exist.
Yes.
So because someone doesn't know Johnny, Johnny doesn't exist.
I don't exist to a lot of people.
You keep throwing. This is what I keep saying.
This is reality, Stone.
No, stop.
This is what it is, dude.
Stop blanketing me with that.
You can keep trying.
I'm trying to keep it.
I get what you get. Don't do that. Don't try to keep it something. Make it what it is.
I'm trying to keep it as what it is. That's the thing. You keep saying because I'm calling a microphone. Because someone, let's say what a microphone is built for, not say a microphone, but because I describe what a microphone is built for, because someone doesn't know that, you're saying then just because to them they don't know that, it means that the microphone wasn't built like that for them, to them, because they don't know
that
it.
example you just gave doesn't make sense. But I know what you're trying to say.
But it was horrible. But my thing is,
I know what you're
why
trying to
do we learn anything?
What do you mean?
Why? Why do we learn anything? Like the whole reason why we learn is because we realize that there are things that exist that we don't know. So we don't sit there and say, well, if I don't know it, it doesn't exist to me.
A lot of people do say that stuff.
A lot of people is not a blanket thing. There's a lot of. Remember what we always say before? You will always find exceptions.
You can ignore reality. But
this is all. And
that's the thing. You put things in exceptions.
This is what I think is funny. This is what I think is funny. This is what I think is funny. You're saying what you disagree with what I'm saying is reality, and you're saying what, and somehow you have the authority to say what I'm saying is not reality because that's your rebuttal.
No, because I wanted to learn some shit. That's all. I'm just using what you just said.
You are.
Again, I don't say anything that I can't back up with stuff that I've actually studied.
All that is fine.
I'll tell you.
But at the end of the day, because you are a fan of learning, you don't learn just on a whim. You learn because you know there's stuff out there to learn. Very
deliberate. You're right.
No, but it's deliberate because you know there are things that are out there that don't exist to you right now because you don't know anything about them. But
Thank you.
Right.
You're saying
You're saying that's reality. And so what I'm saying, my reality that we both live in, which is why I'm wondering why you keep saying it's not reality, is that just because we know there are things out there that exist that we don't know, we don't let that stop us from finding it out. Whether it ends up being there or not, it never stops us because there has to be something in us that says there's more that exists than what we know.
I pointed this out before that this is one of the mechanisms that you use, convolution, to confuse what I'm actually saying.
No, I'm done. I can't be any more plain than I'm going to be or make my point anymore.
Because this isn't a plain conversation.
Well, to you.
So let's talk
and we're going to say to you and to your definition.
Exactly. To
my definition. Your reality and what you feel is
because my perception
common sense
and my
what you feel
is different. But what you will not do in my presence is say that somebody had an option to do something.
I will do it, and you just will disagree,
and you'll be wrong because they don't know.
And you'll be wrong for what I'm saying, according to your point. My vantage, using your argument from my vantage point, which is reality.
Because you don't know. You're right. Your reality makes it to where you don't know,
and your reality of not agreeing with me makes it what you say. That's your argument. That is exactly what you just argued.
No, it's not. Okay.
It's exactly what you just
No,
argued.
it's not. It sure is. I've experienced more of the bottom and closer to the levels that you have.
You don't know this. You were literally speaking what you don't know.
Okay.
I'll say this is my proof. What's been my bottom?
I told a story earlier.
What's been my bottom?
When I use the example, I never had anyone send me to boarding school. That's a financial advantage that pulled you out of poverty.
That's cool. That's not bottom.
That changes.
You said I've been to a bottom more than you have.
No, I said I've experienced something that you haven't. So
what's my bottom?
My situation, when I was homeless, I did not have the option to go home.
I get it. You're still talking about 24-year-old Stone. Stone has been alive for way before that. So
Stone,
you just said
this is the reality of it.
You
Stone.
just said I've experienced a bottom that you haven't, which means you know what I've experienced, say from 19 earlier. So I'm asking you, since you know that,
so based off
what's been my bottom?
Based off of the story that Stone told me. How about that? You want me to do that for you?
Because I'll admit that you have an incomplete story because we've never talked about our lives from birth to whatever.
Then I will say this. The way you blanket statements to people, if you've experienced what I'm assuming you have not, is... Oh my God, I don't like you as a human being because it means that you're ignoring that struggle of some people.
No.
Because when you say you have an option,
there are two things.
It's just there. And you're just going to do that. And you're going to ignore the fact that these things are there.
And I've done it on this already, which you're ignoring that I did. I spoke from my vantage point. And then I brought up two examples of people who subscribe to what you just said.
And then you apologize
until something different happened, and then they disagree. So again, that's not Stone talking.
Okay.
These are literally two people that felt I don't have no option, which is exactly what you just said.
Tell me how the hell rap going to say rap music. Do that.
So here's my thing.
Tell me that.
No. Again, so I'm going to be clear again because you repeated it wrong, even though I clarified. I feel rap can play a role in the cure of black on black violence is what we're talking about.
How?
And it goes back to what we said before. And that's the whole thing about whatever you watch and you listen to and you speak about the most is what we tend to follow through with. You know, it gets into your mind, program. Quite literally, as you know this already, rewires your mind quite literally. This is why we do your affirmations and all this stuff. This is why we meditate and all this stuff. Because what it was Aristotle, he said that which you are what you most frequently or most commonly do. I
can't recall the quote.
Yeah, I think it was Aristotle, but it was that we are what we consistently do. Okay. Is what Aristotle said. And it's true. It's true. This is why you don't sit there and raise mic and be like, you know what, you're going to be a freaking loser when you grow up. You're going to be alone.
Practice makes permanent.
Because so if you repeat that to him enough, he's just going to believe it for no reason at all. He's just going to believe that, right? And you know this. So I'm not saying this isn't on borderline euphoria, so let's understand. I'm clear on that. But we said, is there a way or something that can be done? And all I'm saying is if this were done, I think it can have an effect. Because at the end of the day, if people are watching more of the nonviolent stuff or black, which is what we're going through right now.
So let's do this because I hate wasting time. And as enjoyable as this has been, you haven't laid out a plan for how it could work yet. So what I want to do is give you the opportunity.
I don't know if I was supposed to lay out a plan. I was just supposed to share an idea. I was supposed to share an idea on how this thing can happen.
I'm gonna tell you that this could work. You go out there and figure out how to do it.
No. I just laid out what you can do.
Okay.
Now the plan of how to go about and execute it is up to you. But at the end of the day, and we touched on the whole chicken and egg thing. And just because even if I laid out a plan, it doesn't mean that the plan will work. It doesn't mean that the plan won't have to climb mountains and then get shut down. It doesn't mean any of that stuff, but it doesn't mean it's not a plan. And so my whole thing is truly, one of the places every person can start, to be honest with you, every person can start, is one with the person in your circle, right? If you are around, just how when COVID hit, I made the conscious decision to friend up. Remember, because I looked around, I was like, "Dad, I'm doing a lot of porn." I said, "I need around more people with." This is one reason why I love our conversations, because one, I'll get vantage points that I don't think of, but then I always learn something new from you, which is why I stay around you.
I'll give you more reason to hate me, Stone.
It's never hate. We're way past that, unless you do harm my wife or something. But so
Tasha is on the protected list in my book. No,
I know that I'll be what I hang around.
Okay.
I know I'm going to be what I think about. And people like you and Lee and Cliff, and they force me to think about other things.
Okay.
So therefore I expand. And by thinking about other things, I now act differently. I think differently. I move differently.
Can I do a Stone? I want to do a Stone. I just want to see how you'll respond to this question. And this is a serious exercise. At what stage, if you're washing dishes,
If I'm washing dishes.
And how long do you leave the water in there after you wash dishes?
Me?
Yeah. Like, do you make like a bucket of water, or you have a sink full of water when you wash dishes?
Well, when I do wash dishes, I guess I'll do that.
How often do you use it? The same water?
Once.
You use it once and then you drain the sink.
Yeah.
Okay. Rap is that sink of water. Mm-hmm. Rap started out as it started out as a pure form of that sink water. Mm-hmm. And then over time, we washed some plates in it.
What are the plates?
Rappers
Artists?
come in.
Okay.
Artists come in. NWA comes in. We washing some French fries and some stuff in the water.
Okay.
Tupac, Biggie come in. Okay, we got some more grease in the water. Mm-hmm. At what point do you think you can continue to clean plates with the water that's been dirtied or sullied by what's been introduced to it?
I don't.
So the reason why I use that euphemism, or that small example, is rap music is that water.
And that's where we disagree.
So
I know what you're saying.
I know you know what I'm saying.
But as an art form, rap isn't one kind of water. So that's the problem. Because you have so many different genres and types. So we can't just say rap is water. We can't. That means all rap's the same. Doesn't it?
But it's supposed to be a cure for black on black violence, which
The vehicle. It's the vehicle.
and I get it.
Right. So
So you're gonna clean black on black violence so we need a new form of rap.
You can participate. I have to keep throwing that word in there for you because you keep leaving it out.
No,
you can participate, aid in, influence, have impact on. Not it does the job. Because I've never said that, except in this writing, which was a working note, which we've clarified now.
No, I'm not even doing that no more.
Okay. It can play a role. It can play a role. Because I tell you right now, it's played a role now. When I was watching a documentary on, it was BMF. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason why BMF wore what they wore, and on some of the cases did what they did, out of, what's his name's own mouth? You better memory than me.
Who are we talking about?
BMF, the two brothers.
The Flournoy brothers.
Right.
Okay.
The
Big
younger
Meech.
one. Meech. Thank you. Big Meech.
Any other time, I'll be honest.
No, any other time I would remember the dude's name.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. When I was sitting here listening, I was like, "What is he asking me for?" I didn't.
I couldn't think of his name.
Okay.
Any other time I could say his name. But
you.
Big Meech literally said, "We dressed what we dressed and did some of the things that we did because of the videos." Like you go watch the documentary right now. You'll hear him straight up say that.
Yeah.
So that point alone gives merit to what I'm trying to say is that we influence. And I'm not teaching you anything, telling you anything you don't know. We influence people like that. So rap has reached that point where it has massive influence.
Yeah.
So my thing is we can either use the influence for that vehicle to influence this way, or the vehicle can be used to influence this way. Just because you're influenced, and just for the sake of it, we're not going to get deep on it. Let's just simply call things good and bad, all right? Just for the sake of the conversation, please don't get deep on me.
I don't want to. I haven't.
So
I don't get deep. What do you mean?
So yeah, right.
I always scratch the surface.
Rap can either be used for the vastly understood meaning of good, right?
Okay.
Doesn't mean it gets rid of all the bad. And no one's saying that, and I'm not saying that.
Okay.
All right, and vice versa. Because just because rap has some bad influences out of that, it doesn't mean all rap is bad and everyone listens to rap is bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that. I'm not blanketing anything. However, if you look in the market, because you said yourself, if everybody play Lecrae, no one will make no money. So therefore, Lecrae's not flooding the marketplace. Right. But we flood the marketplace, unfortunately, with that which feeds into that which we don't desire.
Yes.
That's what's happening right now. So you're asking for a plan. The plan is, how do we flip that, feed the marketplace with that which we do desire? And don't get ahead, because just because you're saying that doesn't mean you have to be rapping about Jesus all the time. Doesn't mean you have to have people all over the world join as your hook. It doesn't have to be that. It can be. There's so many topics that feed life and feed energy into people going through breakups, how to deal with a breakup, raising your daughter, how to win, how to truly hustle. There's so many things you can talk about without necessarily talking about shooting the next nigga next to you. So
man, you done used the N-word so many times in this episode.
Wonder who introduced it.
Oh my God.
So that's what I'm saying. Now, how do you go about executing that plan? I never claimed I had that thing. But whenever it gets overwhelming like that, though, you just start in your own circle, which I want to bring up that guy that brought up the studio thing to me online.
Yeah, I know. We got to talk about it. That's really what I was saving all of that energy for that.
I was wearing you down.
No, you weren't. So this is people claim that I'm extremely pessimistic, and I understand why, and it's because I base everything off of the principles of our universe. The universe that we're in scientifically.
The universe that we understand.
Exactly. But I mean, a lot of things would have to reverse for it to change, for this particular principle to change. It's definitely easier to turn a positive into a negative than it is to turn a negative into a positive.
Absolutely. Which is why I asked you, do you know anyone that did it successfully? You said Ice Cube, but he's how rare is he, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and I said G's possible.
Yeah,
G's
but it's rare.
I mean, he's a family man now with a baby and all that. But I mean, that's still he's still. But what I'm saying is that I have no hope for rap. In the vein of what we're talking about, using it for the simple fact that once you if you start a class with 100%, and you get 2 tests where you make 100% on them, and then you miss school on 3 random days with their pop quizzes and you get 3 zeros, you will never have a passing grade in that class again for what we score as passing. You can't get back to a 70 once you zero out. Like those 300s average to 50 with 3 zeros. And rap as a culture, I'm not even saying hip hop as a culture, rap music, that part of the culture, I think, has been sullied to the point to where it can no longer be used as a viable, positive tool in that frame because that still exists. You would have to erase that history. Now, if the earth gets blown up and all of the rap records disappear, and then, one of Lecrae's records is what's discovered by the next, then sure, okay. But the memory of what it has become is still here, so I don't think anyone will be able to apply it to that. From my vantage point.
So this is why you're a necessity on this podcast, is because, one, I firmly believe in the letter I of life on podcasts, which is inspire.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people that have a hard time doing that, and no shots. I feel you represent them better than I do. Okay. I'm not saying you're not inspirational or nothing like that.
Well, I think I'm very inspirational, but I think I inspire
that's what I'm trying to say.
Things
Yeah,
than you do.
You do. You inspire. But I think you can sing their tune easier than I can. Like
that's
those.
What I was trying to say earlier.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, but that's fine. But no.
Damn, I couldn't. I'm not even being funny.
No,
I could have just said.
No. You did. Where you would go wrong is then you would then allude to the fact that I'm somehow not in touch with reality. That's where you lose it. Well, so hold on a second. Let me finish my point.
No, I don't want you to say that. I feel like I'm saying you come off as.
But like you tell me, right? It's what you project on the people. That's what you say all the time.
I know, but that's what it looks like. That's all I wanted to put out there. Yeah, I don't think that. I'm just saying what I.
You know
I want you to know I love you, man.
You know why I don't care about that? Because think of every great invention that was made. They seem like they were out of touch with reality.
Oh my God, some of
So that's okay. So here's my point. With that, I'm glad you said that. That brings to my point, because the reason why we go back and forth is because if we just, I know you'll take it the right way. If we just let you do the talking and end it there, then people will walk away.
That'd be bad.
I feel like people will walk away and be like, well, damn.
Yeah,
I don't have no options. Or, damn, what did you just say? Giving up, or rap's never changed. They're like, well, damn, what am I even trying to do this for? Yeah. And what I'm saying is,
no, you're absolutely right.
If people took that mentality throughout life, we wouldn't really have majority of the things that we have. So my thing is, I know you said if something's only 7%, but something else is blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna go for that. Depending on what the decision is, that's smart. But for me, if there is a negative and the positive, and the negative has a 80%, 90% chance of happening, but the positive only has a 10 or 5, that 10 or 5 is all I need. Oh, man. All I need is that 10 or 5. Because to me, there are some things in life on the bigger perspective that are worth dying for and worth paying the price for.
You all right, bro?
Yeah.
I was not trying to get you emotional. Okay.
No, stop. I got to finish this.
No.
Because this is why. This is exactly why we have Life on the podcast. Because there really are people who feel they don't have a choice. And that breaks my heart. There really are people who feel that because, I was listening to Scrappy's story the other day, and man, like if that dude just said, well, look, I grew up in the whorehouse, it's a crack house, I watched my mom do this, this is my life, this just is what it is. This is what's presented to me. There are no options for me. But he didn't take that road. You know what I mean? And he told his mom, in spite of that, I have this girl who I love. I have my daughter who I love. You showed me, you did none of that for me. Yeah. And he still loved his mom though. Cause like, you paid for this, you did this for me. I always love you, whoop-de-whoop. But his point was like, but if I did it the way you did, if I saw life through the glasses that you gave me, I wouldn't have this right now. And so I feel like that's why we're here. So I think you're important because it does show that somebody on the show connects to and is not forgetting those who truly feel trapped like that. But then I'm here to provide the argument that for some of y'all, it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be, well, this is just the way it is for me. I might as well just go ahead and just put the gun in my head and call it a day, because it doesn't have to be that. And that's all. That's really at the heart of it all. That's all I'm trying to say. And guess what? It may work out and it may not. But depending on what that thing is, if there's even a chance, like with your son, if there's anything you could do where your son had to choose between me and here or being gone, and whatever it is you had to do had a 0.5% success rate, I'm sorry, you would do it. You wouldn't sit there and be like, well, logically, and data-wise, this wouldn't.
Wait. Let me. So.
But then maybe.
No. Pete, I want to make sure that I'm clear on how I was using that example. If it's a 7% chance of saving him from a scenario, then again, there's no option. That's what we do. Period. There is no, well, maybe I don't do that because no, it works both. That's why I said it's not black and white.
So I like this then. So let's flip it then. Let's flip it and let's apply it then. Is that people, y'all have to get to the point, and I'm about to say something that you've heard a billion times before, but Johnny, I feel, is giving a new light to it. That whole, I'm actually about to get this tattoo for Noah. Right? Okay. Failure is not an option.
I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
So get that mentality, and then every single thing you're saying applies. It applies. So we have to now take that paradigm and decide what we want to apply that to. So if you're not given an option to get a job or whatever, you feel like crack is the thing, well, then say, you know what? I've seen people do it differently. I don't really see how that's possible for me. No, seriously, I don't see how that's possible.
No, I'm smiling.
Just because other people do it.
I'm smiling because I did it.
Just because, well, you did it, but we found the middle ground.
No, that's what I'm saying. So this is the one thing that I'm starting to discover, and this is why I think more so people will get a benefit out of the combination of the two, is that these revelations tend to come from me pushing so far past the we have to get out of reality point, and then these revelations of the central clarity, because the center is always foggy. But the clarity comes out of pushing it so far past what it is. And I that's why I say I'm happy that I did it. Because I push far that way for that intention. Because like the example that I gave, extreme brings about change. You have to be extreme and you have to approach it that way. Failure cannot be an option with the same vigor as you would use it on the flip side of that coin. Right. That's an actual principle of mine.
If you had said that from the jump,
well, no,
we wouldn't have had. You wouldn't have to pull anything.
I agree
with that.
Well, no, I mean it's I think it's
it makes it more entertaining.
Well, no, it's necessary because then now we understand how you got to that point. I told my wife this a long time. I was like, either we're gonna fail epically or we're gonna exceed everything we dreamed of and succeed epically. But there will be no middle ground. It will be an epic failure or an epic success. There is no middle. You go 100% whichever way you go, and that prevents a lot of that stuff, and it eliminates certain things being possible choices. In my vantage point, when you have those two dichotomies, and you're gonna be extreme one way or the other.
Right. So the end cap of that is be extreme about what it is you want.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you what that is.
But you got to figure out how you.
We already talked about the whole loving yourself, blah, blah, blah. And there's some things y'all want for yourself that I'd be like, what the hell? But you know what? That's for you in your life.
But I don't know what the extremism is for. And again, we've loosely been around the conversation of rap in general.
Right.
And I think
what's the extreme for rap?
I'm admitting this that I don't see it. I don't see there being.
And that's
one
where
left.
I was going. So when it seems, and one reason why it's hard to see sometimes is because we're looking from what I call the God view, and that is you're trying to solve the whole problem.
Yeah.
I just put up a post the other day where the way you change the world, the way you change rap, right? Well, no, because it doesn't directly correlate to rap, but
the way you eat an elephant,
right? But the way you change the world is you hold the door open for the person behind you.
Okay,
you let somebody into your lane.
Plant the tree that you'll never be able to enjoy the shade of.
Whatever that is, you pick up that piece of trash, whatever. Like, that's how you change the world, because those things have ripple effects. And so my whole thing is, no, you by yourself probably ain't going to change this rap game and the influence. But you go ahead and you put out there, what is it? Be the change you want to see. It just starts with you. It really does start with you. And what you do have to believe in is the ripple effect. And one thing we talked about before that's been proven is that somebody is always watching. Always. I've complimented you on things that I got from you that you had no clue I gleaned from you. You know what I mean? So
let me hear one. I'm joking.
No, I can give you one. Granted, I did tell you that soon, but if I didn't tell you this, I still would have gleaned from it and you wouldn't have known. Because when you told me that you don't own a business, you own a job.
Oh, that.
I can't tell you. Seriously, I can't tell you how much that shifted things for me.
That little thing?
See, to you. Wait, hold. Now, I don't want to get on a stuck that is to you that is little. No. But what I want to...
I know what you're saying.
But what I want to say is don't underestimate the little seed, right?
No, that little thing was me putting it out there saying, I was agreeing with you and me saying
you were just agreeing, and to you it was nothing. It was just some words you said that, hey, that was it. And you had no idea that thing struck you to my freaking core. And it changed things around here. You know what I mean? And and my whole thing is, you never know. You have no clue what's changing somebody, what's inspiring somebody, what's shifting their world, positively and negatively. That's why I say you can't just assume that what the majority of rap is doing right now isn't doing anything. No, and you also can't assume by not doing that it's not doing anything.
That is true too.
The mustard tree is one of the biggest trees in the world, and it starts out as one of the tiniest seeds in the world. So you have to believe that the ripple effect is there.
I'm going to give y'all one more negative thing.
Keep it real.
I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to be 5'8" for the rest of my life. It ain't a damn thing I can do about
perspective. That. If you put lifts in your shoes and you don't look 5'8" to me, are you really 5'8"?
Facts. No, this is true. So the reason why I point out that I'm going to be 5'8" for the rest of my life is that is a biological reality. Mm-hmm. Unless I
can't go backwards.
I can get shin, whatever they call them things, and try the whole Brave New World thing. But that's not happening. What I'm saying is that my viewpoint from how I've seen reality function, that when something becomes negative, the level of difficulty it is to get it back to a positive, it takes such an enormous amount of strength. And I said this on one of the podcasts about how hard it is to do something positive, how easy it is to do something negative. I wish I could remember what episode that was, because that was actually profound. I actually heard myself. I found a clip when we did the end of your clip
what you thought was profound. I was going
I thought, man, sometimes,
and then a little passing phrase, he changed my life.
Bro, it be them songs that you spend 2 weeks on and don't nobody care about. And then,
the one you came up with on the toilet.
See you right diamonds in 15 minutes and then it go down. Like, it's that kind of stuff, man. But it's the reason why I'm so negative on that viewpoint is because I don't see. You always say we got to come together. We got to come together. That infers that we have not done so. And with everything that we've had that has attempted to bring us together, we have not done so. So history is all I have to review on my metrics for this. Barring that changing, we're not gonna do so.
Right. And
so you know what? If we don't do so, the tsunami that it's gonna take to use rap for that purpose will be ineffective.
I agree. And my whole thing is I have to be careful when I say stuff like that, because we just need to say do so more. Because obviously it's been done. Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you look at HBCUs, like there's had to be some kind of a degree where we came together.
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't have HBCUs.
Absolutely.
So it's been done. The reason why I always jump in all the time is because, because something is a monumental task and seemingly impossible is never a reason not to do it. Depending on what it is that it is. So, and it's very easy to allow that to be your excuse. It's so easy because it's not hard. I mean, because it's hard. No one looks forward to the stress and to the headaches and the lack of sleep and being ridiculed, being clowned and all. Like, no, who looks forward to that crap? No one does. And then not seeing the result in your lifetime. Like, who wants that? But that can't be the reason. If what it is that you want to do is great enough, and for me, my definition of great is does it positively benefit society? You know what I mean? But, if it's great enough to you, don't let how surmounting it is and overwhelming it is be a reason not to step out and do it. Not at all. Not at all. So in that case, you have a choice.
Hey, man. I'm saying my piece on it. I'm letting it happen.
Well, we found the middle ground on that. So
we're not finna get out of here without touching this other part, though.
Oh, yes.
This might be an extended cut. I don't know.
I forget the user's name.
Who said it?
So on my post, I had someone. It was when I had posted. Remember the what's his name? Oh boy, he used to be a videographer here in Atlanta. Robbie Starbuck.
Okay.
And he was talking about the labels and how they work and all this kind of stuff. A lot of truth in what he was saying. So there was someone who chimed in on my post who was obviously upset. Just throwing curse words around and everything. He wasn't really cussing me out, but he was like, I obviously stated the point that I was against, the whole black and black violence in rap and how we tend to glorify that and how because it sells, labels will continue. There was someone I know, I'm not going to name names, someone I know who used to work at a label that you know of, who had a meeting and he brought up this. He said, are we not going to discuss, and he named the elephant, and it wasn't received well. And someone told him, said, you know what, we're not going to hold that comment against you. And said, but I tell you what, I don't care if the MF has done time and I'm mixing up, but basically he named some crimes. He said, if that thing hot, we signing them. That's how labels are thinking. And that came out of a label's mouth, who's actually kind of leading the game in rap right now. That came out of their own mouth. So you don't have to wonder if it's a conspiracy. Like, that's what labels are doing. That's what they're seeing. So I'm against that.
Okay.
This person went on my comments. It was like, you own a studio. You play a role in putting that stuff out. You know what I mean? So you're a hypocrite, because you're doing the very thing that you dislike. So before I give my rebuttal, Jonathan and Tasha actually...
Did you just call me by my first name?
I really just called you by your government name. Holy crap.
This dude is mad at me today. I pissed you off today.
My bad. You can delete that.
What?
Johnny.
Oh my God. He's hot with me.
Johnny Vaughn.
He's hot with me.
And Tosh both said, well, you went a little step further than saying I see his point, because I see his point.
I agree with him.
But you flat out said you agree with him. Tosh said, well, I do agree with him.
Yep. I agree
so
with
go
100%.
ahead and state what it is.
I hate that I get to go first on this. He doing the rap battle,
because
making me go first.
He had that point, and then I'm gonna do my rebuttal. But then you're gonna repeat his point. That's kind of backwards.
Well, so this is my thing. We as a species are, and I say this a lot because it's our emotional state. We love pointing out things that are negative that we aren't a part of, and then we adjust those things when we find out that we're actually a part of. There's a comedian who was telling a joke, and he had this for like 2 years. He had this 7-minute string of how bad millennials are.
Right.
He's got a new joke. It's like, man, I used to talk about millennials all the time, like bad. And then I did some research, and I found out I am one. They're not that bad. and that's how we function as a people, is that we will other until we find out that we are in that other.
I am other. What is that? I am other.
Ooh,
isn't that an artist or someone? I am.
That does sound familiar, but I can't place
somebody's account name or something.
Oh, I gotta find out.
Yeah, it's like I am other.
But what I say I agree 100% with it, and I'm so glad we had the conversation we had before we got to this point, because when we changed the title from "Can It Save" to "Play a Role," you just said play a role in. So at the end of the day, does you owning this business?
Okay. I thought you were supposed to be bonding for me there for a second.
Does you, Stone Sapper, owning a business that supports the platform to the creation of this music, play a role in the perpetuation of it? And I agree 100% that it absolutely does. And what reason are we doing it other than it's your livelihood? And livelihood just means money.
Right.
And that's why I have no arguments and nothing to go against that for, because it's just a fact.
Right. Yeah. Do we play a role? Yeah. I think there is a role that we play in that.
Okay.
So what? And I never said we didn't. To him, I asked him, okay, using that thought process. Those of y'all joining live, one of the things we're talking about is the role that rap plays in black on black violence.
Oh, I didn't know that's what that was.
Yeah, this is live, and it's hard to do it twice. And so somebody told me that because I own a studio, Icon Studios, we play a role in putting that rap out there that glorifies black on black violence. So I didn't disagree with him, but I asked him, using that thought process, where do we draw the line?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So I was like, as depending on your morals or whatever, I think most people can say Chick-fil-A tries to work above board, if you will, ethics, whatever it is. That's going to be right. But customer service wise, they're just on point. They offer great opportunities, right? But they contribute to the obesity of America. At the end of the day, they're a fast food joint and they're unhealthy for you. They're absolutely contributing to it. Where do you draw the line with that? The guy that sells hunting rifles, whatever. There have been people that gone into hunting stores, bought a hunting rifle, and killed someone with it.
Being sued still, I think.
Right. So where do we draw the line with that? So we can do this all day. Yep. Go with the business. So because your business may play a role in something negative happening, then now do you not go into that business? And again, we talked about it before. Always focusing on one side of the coin.
Sure.
Maybe I have the other kind of. I can't tell you how many positive songs have come out of here and how many positive things get done because this studio exists.
Do they have the same effect as the negative ones?
In my personal life, they do. The people that come and deal with me personally, who I can go through DMs and Facebook things, talking about how I've affected them. We wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have this studio. And I've already covered some areas.
Yeah, we do. We have my studio.
This wouldn't have happened because our relationship really took roots by you coming here and helping. That's what I'm saying. So if Icon didn't exist, I would have never gotten the you don't own a business, you own a job. So I'm just sitting there saying,
I'm with you.
So there's plenty of positive that has spawned from me owning this studio.
Sure.
So where do we draw that line is what I'm saying. So same thing with rap itself.
Okay.
Well then, because this was a rapper, I said, well then you need to stop rapping. Because rap is the vehicle that's being used right now to really push black on black violence.
Right.
So because you rap, you're giving credibility to that art form.
Absolutely.
So you're paying. So that's why I'm not saying I dismissed it. I'm just saying that form of thought doesn't work.
Johnny.
And last thing, on a practical note, I wanted to know, how do I police that?
Ooh.
Do I go into every room and like, all right, I need to hear your lyrics real quick. Yeah. Oh, you said nigga F you, you said blah blah. You gotta go.
You dropping a bunch of these, man. Who are you?
You might need to bleep them out, edit them out. So that was my rebuttal to it.
So Johnny, in all of his Stone, you have to remember there's a gray area in this.
Okay.
Agrees 100% with that. But if we go back to the conversation that we were having 45 minutes ago about everything being black and white, you can't draw a line. There is no line to be drawn. You play a role. Take the responsibility that you have in it, man.
Like I said, I did.
Johnny, no. But let's not ask the question. No, you did. But I'm saying let's not even bother asking the question, where do you draw the line? No. Fast food restaurants are killing people. Rap music is killing people. If you own a studio and you're recording rap music and it makes it to the charts and somebody listens to it and they're getting affected by it, you killing people. That if we're gonna make it black and white, let's not choose when to be gray area. I'm gray area all the time.
But where am I choosing to be gray area?
Well,
because you and I we can't use, as far as our choice things go. We can't use that because I don't see a gray area. Okay. So I can't be what I don't see.
But you see a gray area on this one.
It's not gray.
Well, drawing a line creates a gray area.
No, you either own some responsibility or you're not. To me, it's black and white. You're either participating in it or you're not.
So what's the question of where do we draw the line? What's that question for?
I said no. So my question was, okay, if that's what we're going to do now to dictate what gets done in society, where do we draw that line? Because almost nothing.
Oh, you're asking where to draw the line somewhere else, and
almost nothing can exist if that's the thought process.
So this is
almost nothing can exist. That's why I was saying that kind of was a. I don't know what kind of answer you're looking for with that.
No. This is why I struck. It's again, I learn things from you too every time. And you said something on off microphone once that I have a moving barometer, which was absolutely true because I apply. my discernment situationally.
Okay.
Because my level of stringentness may not be as delicate as what's necessary for a particular scenario.
Okay.
You tend to have a fixed one until a situation comes up where your pocket
needs to move.
Your pocket's getting full.
But what's funny is, doesn't that mean then I have a barometer that moves according to the situation?
Yeah, but it seems
maybe
like
the only situation happened to be where my pockets are full, but it still means my barometer moves. Maybe the right situation hasn't come up where my barometer will move too. Obviously, my barometer
all
can
it's
move.
doing is proving my point that I try to make, that everyone's barometer is gonna move when it affects them directly.
But I agree with that 1,000%.
I try to have a gray area for everybody all the time.
And my own thing is, if it applies, it does. If it doesn't, I don't force it to apply.
Okay.
That's all it is. Either it applies, yeah, that applies, or it doesn't. Well, I'm gonna make it. This doesn't have a gray area. Well, I'm gonna find me one. I'm gonna make a gray area.
I think you should. Well, everything has a gray area.
I agree.
Everything has a gray area. I think you should stop killing these kids, man, with this rap music you putting out of your studio.
See, that's the other thing too. Like, where choices are concerned, right? To me, you're in complete control.
Okay.
Right, which doesn't agree with what you're saying, but to me, you're in complete control.
Okay.
Whether or not something is an option or not.
Okay.
To me, I'm not in control. I can be, but not if I want to have a successful business, right? But I can be in control. I can go in. What's stopping me from going into the rooms and policing the songs that they're doing? Nothing. Let's be honest. Somebody be like, well, no, you don't really have a choice to do that. No, yes, I do. Just because it means bad business doesn't mean I don't have a choice to do it.
No,
I
can
do
absolutely do that.
I can absolutely do it 100%.
I've seen that done.
Right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do that, which now would be harmful for business. And that thing, Stone be policing your records, that'll affect even those that aren't doing violent rap. They're like, well, I'm trying to work at Icon. They be all in your room listening to your music. I ain't working there. Now it hurts me across the board, good and bad. So it's not a good decision to make. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why. But what you do once you pay me for the space I'm providing and the equipment I provide, that's not in my control. That's totally in control. Chick-fil-A don't make you come to Chick-fil-A. You go there of your own free will, knowing that it's fatty and unhealthy. Chick-fil-A is like, yeah, we providing it.
I don't know, man.
But you ain't got to eat it. That's the whole thing of guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Some of them chemicals are addictive.
On purpose, right? That's a whole nother podcast.
It might have something.
That's a whole nother podcast. So I don't deny that.
I'm not arguing with you. I was just pointing out when I point out these scenarios like, hey, Stone, I'm saying this because I notice it, and this is what it sounds like. The second you said, where do we draw the line? It sounded like, well, now there's a gray area for me because I own this business, but the other stuff, there can't be a gray area for that.
But I could have sworn I've labeled gray areas before. I know I have. I know I've labeled, because gray areas exist.
I know.
I'm not so out of touch. Don't be like, I know, like you don't know.
I'm just saying,
whatever.
Whatever. I'm just saying, you don't have to tell me.
Nah. So that's my answer to old boy.
Okay.
Is, I provide a facility where people can rap, and you either going to rap.
Does it eat at your conscience though, knowing that you? Because I mean, I know some records. Records that came out of here.
It does. So there was a young kid who was rapping in here, and I must admit he has talent. Like he's got bars, like for real.
Okay.
And he was just cussing up a storm. Right now, this one wasn't about violence.
Yeah.
But still, like he was just every profanity in the book he using. Right. So he goes out to use the bathroom. I'm sitting at the bench in the lobby. Mm-hmm. He comes back. I said, yo, what's up? I said, I'm Stone. I own the studio. He goes, oh, how you doing, sir? What's up? I said, what's your name? He gave me his name. I said, yo, I'm not going to lie, bro. I said, you're dope. He said, oh, I appreciate that. I said, how long you been rapping? And he was like, really since I was a kid. I was like, you are a kid. He laughed. He goes, I know, but just when I was little, I said, okay. I said, who taught you how to rap? He's like, nobody. I just learned on my own. It just comes to me. I just write. I said, oh, so it's just a natural gift? He said, yeah. I said, dope. I said, so you don't necessarily have to do certain things to fit in just because you just natural. Nah, man, I got that fire. He's going on. I said, dope. So even if you didn't like cuss every 2 seconds, you would probably still be dope. And he's like, hell yeah. I see what you're saying. Right? Mm-hmm. And then, but he kept going in and out. And I said, y'all smoking more than you working. You know what I mean? And actually I did it backwards. We talked about the cussing thing, but it was the smoking is what it was. And that's when I said, how long you been rapping voodoo? I said, so you've been talented even before you started smoking. He said, yeah. I said, so you don't necessarily need to smoke to be talented, do you? He was like, nah. And a lot of they were in there 3 more hours. Not a single one of them left the room again to smoke. Whereas before, they literally, I'm no exaggeration, were going in and out every 30 minutes. 2 points to this story. One, he felt like he needed to smoke to be creative. And there's something to it. Look, I get all that. I get all that when you look at the brain and all this stuff. But he felt he needed to. And I just wanted to show that you choose to. You feel like you're talented because this, no, you're talented anyway. So he got that. But notice what happened. When he stopped going out smoking, his whole crew stopped going out smoking. I wasn't talking to them. They weren't the ones on the mic. But by him not doing it, none of them dudes went out to smoke.
Bunch of sheep. I'm just...
So going back to our point, right, about how the smallest things are, however, you have a circle of influence.
Sure.
So don't think that because you're going to do something just because the masses ain't following you, there's 2 or 3 people around you that will. You know what I mean? And then they got 2 or 3 people around them, and then you know, law of exponents. That's how it works. That's how we change the world. That's how rap can play a role in helping us out with the whole black on black violence.
Good luck.
There's your plan.
Yeah, good luck. LifeOnPodcast.com is where you can find all of this stuff, man. Last 10 episodes. This one going to be up there in a minute.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Life on Podcast. Go ahead, please.
You can find me on all your social medias, just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN.
What up, Frackus Whackbird?
I'm a passionate individual that doesn't care about much. So...
Wow, there it is.
So if you want to talk about some of this stuff, I'm happy to, but I don't, you can keep your comments to yourself.
Yeah, nah, keep the comments coming, y'all. Yo, all right, he already said lifeonpodcast.com. You want to know anything about me, you can go on stonestafford.com. All my socials on there and everything. And then you personally is just Johnny Vaughn.
I just did all that already.
I didn't hear that part. I was talking to our IG fans.
You wasn't listening, man.
My one IG fan.
Hey, I'm tired after this episode.
We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. We love you. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and I look forward to the 1 million subscribers in 2023. We love you. We out. Peace.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.